Hi, I'm Laura Avery, the Santa Monica Farmers Market Supervisor, and welcome to Cooking with the Farmers Market, where we're going to show you how to cook delicious food with fresh, locally grown ingredients from the farmers market. Shopping at the farmers market eliminates the need for packaging and helps us to avoid costly processed food and provides you with hundreds of options for adding fresh fruits and vegetables to your menu. Joining me today is farmer Nate Peitso from Maggie's Farm and Kentor Canyon Farm and private chef Sherie Farah. Nate also has the additional distinction of being Sherie's fiancee. Today they will show us how to use greens from Maggie's and Kentor Canyon in a variety of dishes that can be adapted for multiple menus. Welcome, Sherie, and welcome, Nate.
Thank you, Laura.
Good to be
So
here.
what are we going to be cooking up today using all these great fresh herbs and vegetables?
Well, what I want to do is show people how to make some foundations of some dishes that they can carry through many meals, because I feel people are a little bit intimidated to cook because of the whole process. So if we can give them some foundational ingredients, starting with some variations on a traditional pesto, I think they'll find that they can create many different things from that.
Okay, and by traditional pesto, are you talking about the
basil, pine nuts, olive oil, Parmesan cheese,
Right.
yeah, and garlic. That's a traditional
what
pesto.
a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, like the traditional basil pesto, while it's
This is the
fantastic,
basil.
We have some
basil's
fresh
really
basil.
seasonal. It's a summer herb. So this time, you know, this time of year, it's the fall. We have a lot of other really great herbs that are just starting to come into their own, and those can be used in a pesto, and it's different, but it's fantastic.
So pesto is basically when you blend herbs, it isn't specific to a certain kind of herb.
It's not
just a
specific
process.
To it. It's not. It's a process.
Great.
And we can use many different kinds of nuts, different kinds of herbs, mixing different herbs instead of it just being one type of herb. So what we have here is a
You made that earlier.
is
Oh
a
my
pesto
gosh.
with walnuts and thyme and oregano, sage and rosemary. And we're also going to do another variation with some fresh parsley and garlic chives and basil. So this is, you know, this is more of your leafy herbs, and then this is more of a woody herb. And this time of year, this is, you know, more rich, more fall flavors.
Right.
But we're going to show you how to do both of them, and I'm going to start working with that right now.
And Nate, at your farms, Kentor Canyon, Maggie's, I mean, do you even know how many herbs you grow up there?
we grow many different
Yeah,
types of
yeah.
herbs. You know, I can't think of it how many off the top of my
I mean,
head, but
chervil,
tarragon,
you
two different
name
types
it,
of
right?
tarragon.
Marjoram,
Yeah,
6 kinds of thyme. Yeah,
we basically pour over seed catalogs and find the cool stuff,
Right.
and we plant it, and
Right.
it's fun.
Right.
You know, it's like the most fun I have is actually when I buy seeds. I'm like, yes, we're gonna grow this.
And
It's gonna be
they're
so
pretty
good.
much considered baby vegetables. They're young. I mean, you don't use old, because somebody did tell me that for the basil pesto, it can get a little, people may be bitter because the leaves are kind of old and mature. So are we trying to work with tender leaves here?
Yeah, tender leaves are best. You want to avoid basil. Basil gets a little bit like bitter after it's flowered. So once it goes to flower, all the energy of the plant is going into making the seeds, and it's at a different phase of its life. It's no longer in its delicious and supple phase. So you know, once it's flowered, we don't use it. We use specific types of seeds that are called slow bolting, because bolting is when it goes to flower.
But as a chef, you probably use those flowers for garnishes. Beautiful
Absolutely,
garnishes,
they're garnishes and they have great
Yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
A lot of those flowers have they carry the same flavor of the herb through, so they're a very great addition to any dish.
Great. So these are going to be.
So-
This is the 3 you're going to use now to make some pesto.
We're going to use these 3 to make this pesto, which is going to be the basil, the garlic chives, and the parsley. And these have been washed and plucked from their stems. A little bit of
so
stem
no
is
stem.
fine in
okay.
pesto.
Okay.
Not on the woodier herbs, which Nate will kind of show you in a minute. We're going to get into making this pesto, and he can explain some of that. But with these softer, more leafy herbs, we have a little bit of stem from the basil in here. Not a problem at all. And there's the beginning of
There's
a
a
basil
flower.
flower.
That's the early
right
flower.
there.
That's still
Got it in
acceptable.
time?
That hasn't changed the flavor of the basil.
But you can see, like Nate was saying, at this time of year, you know, basil's not in its prime. The cold weather does,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
all frost damage.
This is a little bit of frost
the
damage.
fact that it turned black. Oh, yes.
And this is fresh. I mean, we just got this
But it
yesterday.
doesn't affect the
The day
flavor. Does it
before
affect the
yesterday.
flavor?
It doesn't affect the flavor. It's just not as pretty, and that's why, you know, this is a great type of thing to do with this type of a crop.
To hide multiple. flaws.
Yeah,
Exactly.
multiple
A blender
flaws,
hides a
but-
million flaws.
Right.
So the ingredients we are going to use for this are these 3 herbs, and we're going to use some of Adam's Ranch olive oil, which is from the farmer's
Love
market.
them.
The best olive oil at the farmer's market. And we have several different variations of nuts that we can choose from. And what I want to do to make this a little bit more fun is to actually use, this is a lemon pepper.
Oh, yeah.
This
right.
is a sprouted and dehydrated lemon pepper almond.
Fat Uncle Farm.
From Fat Uncle Farms. They have the best almonds, and this will add a nice little touch of that spice from the pepper and then that hint of citrus from the lemon.
And how did you pick these 3 out of all these herbs you could have picked?
Well, I think cooking is an experimental thing, and really it's about playing with different ingredients and finding how they play off of each other. And for me, I like the sweetness of the basil, a little bit of spice from the garlic chive, and then that nice, fresh, clean taste from the parsley. And I think all of those things will marry really well together, and will just create a well-balanced flavor. And with food, you're always wanting to come up with something that's balanced.
Great. Okay.
So
And experimental at the same time.
yeah, and really that's what it's about, is just play, because
Yes.
you know, if it doesn't work, it's trial and error.
Right.
You know, and again, I want to teach people not to be scared or intimidated of cooking, because it's really something great and wonderful, and can be simple, and that's
And
what we
it's
want to
fun.
teach them today.
That's what we do for fun at home. Is we get home from a long day, and we'll
Decompress in the kitchen.
decompress in the kitchen, a glass of wine, chop, and we get excited about what we're going to do.
Perfect.
Although I
Sometimes
spend
it fails.
most all day in the kitchen, various kitchens.
And you talk about those. Now, what are your proportions? Are those pre-measured, or you're just
They're not pre-measured.
so knowledgeable you just know
I'm
what to
so
do?
knowledgeable, I just know what to do. But I would say that if we were going to use a cup of herbs, or what we have here is the equivalent of probably 3 cups of herbs, that I would go a 1-to-3 ratio. So I would use about a cup of almonds to this.
And when you bake, go back to that basil pesto, that you have to use those pine nuts. Those are so expensive.
They
A
are
lot of
very
times they
Hard
come
to
from
find.
China.
They're all from China, so who knows how they've been grown. So finding these, these nut substitutes is great.
Yeah, and it really is in
And
the
it's a-
spirit of pesto, because it started in France. It was the monks that started making pesto with pine nuts and
Yeah.
basil, and just what they had around.
Right.
And so then we've made it this holy recipe, but really pesto, the spirit of it is just what we have around. So we have
It's like
these
simple food.
Simple food. It's
seasonal,
peasant food in
using
its
up.
finest.
Yeah.
And
great.
it holds up, in the refrigerator for a good amount of time, and you can leave a jar of pesto in the
plus.
refrigerator for a couple of weeks in a
Yeah.
mason jar.
Yeah.
It's covered in olive oil, so it's fairly preserved in that matter, and then from there you can create.
Yeah, it works in
You just
anything.
have a spoonful of that, just lends itself to many different things, which
Put it on a sandwich,
Yeah.
roasted vegetables.
Roasted
You
vegetables.
can use it in a
So
soup.
good, which is what we're going to be
gonna
doing
We
today.
have some
Yeah.
beautiful.
Doesn't
roasted
have to
vegetables.
just go on pot. Oh my gosh.
some beautiful
Look
roasted
at
vegetables here,
those.
which we're going to show you how to do.
Oh, those smell so good.
Yeah,
oh
they're
my
good.
goodness.
And that's all farmers market stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Simple,
Wow.
sustainable, no animal products.
Right.
So we're going to put our nuts in the Cuisinart here, and I prefer to use a Cuisinart rather than a blender. A blender, you really have to use a lot more liquid, and you have to puree it.
I can't get it to get out of the bottom of the little
Because there's not
shallow
enough
bottom.
moisture,
Yeah, and
yeah.
it just sits there, and then the leaves are on top, and the stuff is down below, and it's just really, really tough to do. So you do recommend.
I
Mortar
always
pestle
recommend
works
a
too. Mortar
Cuisinart
pestle.
or a food processor. A mortar and pestle is great. Takes
It's just
a little
more
bit of
labor
time.
intensive, but it does. I think it brings out more flavor even than a food processor. But this is certainly easier. And
But can you process as much as quickly with a mortar and pestle? Isn't that
No.
very,
it's very labor
Very
intensive.
time-consuming.
That's like for a whole evening's worth of pesto making.
We're gonna put a little bit of salt in here. Always go light on the salt in the beginning. We
Okay.
can always add more. And
You're
we're going to. I'm not measuring my
I was
olive
going to say, you're
oil.
not even measuring the olive
I'm not,
oil.
but I would say that it's about a cup, and I'm going to. We can always add more again.
Right. But more herbs and
We
then
will.
more
We'll
whatever.
give you more distinct recipes.
We call it cooking by braille. You sort of
Cooking
figure
by
out
braille.
Yeah, you find your way as you're cooking. You taste
Okay.
it. You add a little something. You taste it again. But we'll
all
have
right.
recipes
This is
for
very
you.
simple. Just turn it on.
Oh, that goes so much faster
and then
than my blender.
I like to
That is
stop it
unbelievable.
for a minute and scrape my sides down. One thing that I like to do is to make sure that it's more of a rustic style than an actual puree, because I think that there's so much beauty in what's happening here.
Yeah, that looks
where you can see a little bit of the nut
Mm-hmm.
and the actual integrity of the herb is still there. So I can see right here that this is a little dry. So I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil to this.
Well, it looks like it's almost close to being done.
It is
After like
almost
10
close to being
seconds.
done.
It doesn't take
That is
long at all.
amazing.
Yeah, so you turn it on, and then to finish it off, I use the pulse button because then I have more control over it.
But if you wanted to get that creamy sort of Italian style, you could just let it
You
go
can just
and
let
you
it
get
go.
creamy pesto.
Yeah,
if
you can.
If you chose.
If you chose to do that.
Absolutely.
Took your attention off it for a second.
Or if you forgot about it.
Forgot about it.
Yeah, hey, it's creamy tonight.
Look at that.
There we go.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so
So that
here
looks
we are.
perfect. So that is about a cup of oil. Yeah, you did use about a cup. Yeah.
About a cup of oil.
And so
Okay.
bright green.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, very beautiful.
So beautiful.
There's actually a really good trick with basil. If you want your pesto to stay bright green, you blanch it first before you blend
Oh,
it.
but that adds an extra step.
It does add an extra step, but you'll wow your friends with how green your pesto is.
Okay. So
So we are going to show you another variation as well, using, which is this one that I have right here, using
woody
rosemary, thyme, sage, and oregano.
This is this one. Rosemary, thyme, sage. Okay, that's 4 herbs. This is 3. And you're just going with what happens to be.
This is a much more
season
seasonal.
and-
Yeah,
yeah,
everything here is really in season. Well, rosemary grows year-round without complaint.
Yes, it's my hedge.
Exactly. Oregano is a little frost sensitive, but we have them in greenhouses that really kind of warm it up just a little bit.
And now, of your 10 kinds of oregano you grow,
This is a Greek variety of oregano.
Greek
this
oregano.
really is the most popular one.
yeah, the real
We've been-
pungent one.
Yeah, we've had lots of time at the farmers market to figure out what people want to eat, and
Yeah.
that's the one that everybody seems to come back for.
This one, yeah.
And then the
what's this?
sage, this thyme.
Oh, that's thyme.
This is thyme, yeah. The thyme, this is an English thyme. And it's right now the only real one that we're growing. There's a lemon thyme that we grow
Right.
in the summer.
They've got little flat leaves.
Little
the
flat,
leaves are
yeah,
a little flatter.
yeah, and they have a little yellow
Yes,
outline
very
to them.
pretty.
Yeah. And so this
Yeah.
is the winter version of thyme. There's a German winter thyme, but it grows so slowly we don't bother with it. This is silver dollar sage.
The fuzzy
And
kind.
The fuzzy kind, yeah. And this is a commercial sage. This is the most popular variety of sage in the country. We grow more of this as a country than any other type of sage.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
And it likes
it's
the winter.
culinary sage. yeah.
Culinary sage, yeah. This isn't the kind that you burn.
No smudging.
Now
happening
you're
here.
known for the baby vegetables, and when I get your stuff, I don't wash it. It looks like it's ready to go.
It's ready to go. We always
But
suggest.
now, do you
yeah.
wash all these things because they look?
The herbs, yeah.
You
Everything's
wash
been,
everything
everything goes
pre-washed.
through. It's
That
pre-washed.
is
Yeah.
such a help.
We do recommend
me.
you wash it again just because
I
it's
know.
out there
I
and everybody
know,
can wash.
I
But
know.
you won't get any dirt off of it.
Yeah,
You'll get the
yeah.
invisible stuff off of
Yeah,
it.
great.
So we're going to use raw walnuts for this pesto as opposed to a nut that has toast to it. These weren't actually toasted, but sprouted and dehydrated gives you that same
Okay.
sort of texture.
Yeah.
I find that it adds a little bit more of a creaminess, and you
Okay.
get that raw flavor. And then also, if you're going to cook with it, the nut will then toast into the product with whatever
That's true. Yeah.
you're using.
Now, when you say creamiest, I'm thinking texture. You're saying more flavor, creamy flavor.
I
more
feel
with the-
I
with
feel like the
fresh?
texture of a raw walnut has a more creamy mouthfeel. So when you get a little piece of that, I think that it adds in balance with the herbs, especially the more woody herbs, which have a little bit more of a bite to them.
Yeah, it adds a little sense of dairy without actually having any dairy.
So we're going to do about
This is a lot of
about a
sage.
half a
You
cup
use
of
almonds?
almonds
I don't know,
of
that's
walnuts
up to
here.
share.
Oh, you grow it?
I got more of
She
the other
cooks it.
stuff. So if it
Yeah,
gets out of
I'm not-
balance,
I'm
we'll just
not
put
going to
more of
use
the
all
Yeah,
other
right.
stuff.
You got the backup down
Yeah,
there.
sage is
Sage
pungent.
is very
yeah.
pungent.
It is.
Use less.
Sage is a bully.
We're just going to put a little bit of the sage in there. We
As
are going to
is-
use all of the rosemary.
Rosemary's strong, but
It is strong, but can definitely be balanced out. It doesn't take over as much as sage does. And all of the oregano.
I love oregano.
Now, when you're thinking about making this,
And
are you also
very
now
little
leaping
time.
ahead to what am I going to put this on? I mean, other than this
So,
fantastic
I suppose it's a good
thing
time to
here.
start.
Yeah.
We've got a few really great vegetables. These are from Florabella. They're a German butterball, and they're soft, which is abnormal for a potato, but they're just not cured in the ground. So the first time I came up to James and asked what was wrong with his potatoes, he said, "These are brand new.
They're
I just haven't
soft?
cured them. They're slightly soft. They don't. It doesn't feel really that appealing when you because you're so used to getting really kind of
Yeah.
harder potatoes."
They are a little, I'm
But-
not going to say spongy, but I'm going to
Yeah,
say,
there's a
they're
little
not
give
real.
to them. Yeah, like almost a ripening avocado.
Yeah.
But I mean, the inside
Oh,
of
look
these,
at
it's
that.
just perfect. And these are like a velvety deliciousness, and they're my favorite potato when he has them at the
German
farmer's market.
butterball.
German butterball.
Are
yeah.
they coming now, or does he he have?
Yeah,
Because it
this
seems
is
like there's always
there's
some
always
potatoes
something, yeah.
somewhere.
This
but
is
you
a
wanna-
new crop. About a month
Okay.
ago, he started having this crop. This I just love the color. So I cut these into quarters.
No eyes yet. There's no eyes on
No
them.
eyes on
Yeah,
them.
they're brand new.
Even if there are, kind of adds to the charm.
It does.
Yeah, I don't mind eyes on mine, unless they're huge and
I thought
starting
that
to
meant they were
sprout.
sprouting, and then you weren't supposed to eat them.
I eat them anyway.
You do?
I never have a problem. So
No potato's going to stare you down.
right,
huh,
no
Nate?
potato exactly. So
Is that a little? What is that?
it looks like a little organic certification is what that is.
Oh, look at that! Looks like a little organic hole.
So if you see that, you just cut it out. You know, I always, if there's a bug hole in the food that I'm eating, it just means there's no pesticides.
That's a good
to
sign.
keep
That's
them
a
out.
good
Yeah.
thing, right?
I don't
right.
mind so much. I just cut it off and then we're
Right.
done. This is some butternut squash from Alex Weiser.
Are you going to peel it?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
peel
okay.
it. So what I do to peel, I like to have a flat end to hang on to hold it on, and then I just cut the outside off.
Some people use a carrot peeler
Some people do.
because those are smooth, and you don't have to worry about all the ridges and bumps in that squash.
Right. I like this. I feel like I always do it this way, and I like it.
With your
And
razor sharp
with
knife.
my razor sharp
Do you
knife.
recommend having razor sharp knives?
I always recommend having. One thing I've learned about having a truly sharp knife, if you can learn how to sharpen, is that when you cut onions, it really doesn't affect you nearly as much.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I heard on, what was it, The Splendid Table with Lynn Rosetta Kasper saying that if you have a sharp knife, it doesn't, when you cut onions, it doesn't hurt your eyes because you're not smashing the cells.
That makes
All the
perfect
liquids,
sense.
yeah, it
And
doesn't
that
turn
does
into an
work.
aerosol
You
and
found
doesn't
that
get in your
works?
eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Nate, let's talk about the heritage grain that your farm is growing now.
Yeah, it's just we were finding it very hard to find any quality grain that was locally grown, and so my mother, being very enterprising, said, "Well, why don't we grow some?" So this is the first year. This is an ancient grain. We have another 2 varieties that we grow currently.
Really beautiful.
And how
It's
did
beautiful.
she find this? There must be hundreds of wheat varieties. How did she find this one?
This one was traditionally grown in California. This was grown all over California. It was a common grain that people used, and it wasn't until about 400 years ago or something that we started to find better, grains that we considered to be better. And this really fell by the wayside. But
Better in what way? I mean, this one seems to have it all.
It produces more. This is a low-producing wheat, so we don't get the same tonnage per acre. In fact, we don't quite get 1 ton per acre, and 2 tons per acre is not unheard of, even 3.
Oh.
So it's lower producing. It's just a special thing. It has lower gluten. It has better flavor, or
That's what I like
different
about
flavor.
it, yeah.
And it's not the same kind of gluten that's in all the commercial wheat, so you can digest it better.
Because I'm eating your mom's bread that she's baking, and I can eat a lot of bread and not have any
and not
sort
get
of
all
adverse
fat.
reaction.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
much easier
I
to
wasn't going to
to
say fat. Bloated, but
Bloated, exactly, yeah.
the
But
body
that's-
responds better to it.
Body
you can
responds
just
much better to it.
literally
That's
just
what those
digest it easier, and it's a beautiful. And
that's
then
good.
it's whole grain. What is
grain, yeah.
in? Well, this is obviously, but then in
So
the
you
bread,
u-
it's the whole grain, which is milled.
Yeah, we mill it ourselves,
The
and we
wheat
bake it
germ,
ourselves.
the wheat
yeah.
bran, everything. Nothing is taken out.
Nothing.
And then sort of half replaced,
Yeah,
which
and
is
you're looking
great.
at very high protein and very high, nutrient value. And we also
Yes.
use it as a grain, which is what it is here. You just use it like rice.
Yeah, so this is it cooked
Just
wheat
boiled
berries.
in water,
Yeah,
that's it.
Just
really.
simmered with water.
Which is what you're doing
And
now.
you can do it with vegetable stock. You can
got a
do
delicious
You can
taste.
absolutely do a more sweet version as well. It would be a great base for a cereal in the morning with some cinnamon or some allspice or nutmeg.
like
and-
oatmeal. It's
like
sweet.
oatmeal,
Sweet.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that same creaminess with it in this way, but you can actually soak the grain overnight with a little bit of lemon juice, and the acid breaks down a little bit of the gluten, and then you get a little bit more of a creamy risotto-like texture when you cook
Yeah.
it, because you're starting to,
And it's very inexpensive. It's $2 a pound. You can feed yourself
And this
very
is a
well
cup,
off of
and
that.
it makes a
Yeah,
lot.
that's a cup. It
So,
makes
yeah.
a ton. It's actually, that's half a cup in there. Once it's swollen, we have another one underneath that it just got too big for it.
It almost looks like it's going to be couscous or something.
It does,
too.
yeah.
You could
It
just
really adds a
toss
lot of
that as a
cool
cold
flavor.
salad
yeah,
as well, right?
exactly,
And
exactly.
we always keep it cooked in the fridge, and you can, you heat it back up, you fry an egg, you put a little of this pesto on there, and that's breakfast. Like,
Yes.
it's really, thank you, baby.
So let's plate one up so we can taste it and try it. Let's try. Are we going to try both pestos on the wheat berries and the veggies? or
No,
are we gonna
well,
kinda
another
do-
thing I want to show you before
Yep.
before we go into plating is I want to show you something really quick and easy. Another reason why I like to have the pestos
crying?
in the refrigerator because these last, like I said, and then you can just take a scoop and take it and make a salad dressing from it. Have the base of it for, you know, any type of a dressing or a marinade, a spoonful, a little more oil, some sort of acid, citrus or vinegar, and then there you have different variations that you can take off of this, okay?
Right, absolutely.
So one thing I'm going to do is I have a little bit of fresh squeezed orange juice in here, and I'm going to add a couple spoonfuls of this lovely basil,
green.
garlic chive, almond, and parsley. And then we are going to put a little olive oil.
You haven't even tasted it. You just know it's going to be fantastic, right?
Let's taste it right now.
Let's taste it.
You know what?
Let's give it a whirl.
I have a spoon.
You have a spoon.
Oops, I
We
have
have
a
more
spoon.
spoons as well. I'm just going to use this one.
Just use that spoon. What do you think?
I think it's delicious.
Fantastic. Okay. I'll get a clean spoon.
You guys want to give it a try?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Spoon
so
over
then
there.
are you going to shake?
Here, Nate, you can use the end of this spoon.
What I found once when I made salad dressing and I put the acid in first and I put the
great.
oil, it never emulsified. It
Well,
couldn't blend.
A really good trick is to use a tiny bit of Dijon mustard.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that
holds
helps
in
emulsify it.
suspension, yeah.
Oh,
But we're
okay.
working with everything from farmers
Yeah,
market,
yep.
so
No
I
Dijon
didn't, no
mustard.
Dijon. Another thing that will help a little bit is if you shake up the vinegar and get a little bit of air bubbles in there, then the air pockets can grab the olive oil better. So if you get a little
And that
air into
mason
this
jar trick
first.
is great too.
So
It
just use
mixes
a
it so well.
mason jar. That's so
I mean,
great.
they're like 50 cents,
Yeah.
and they're great for everything.
Yeah. Now this is about one step away from being like a green goddess
It
dressing,
is, yeah.
right?
It's very similar.
so
it's
it's
missing a
similar,
few
green,
more-
ingredients.
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Oh, now how
And then-
do you know to do that? You just do. You're the chef. I know. I wouldn't know how you do that.
I was born with this talent, I guess.
I guess so.
And then give this a little shake.
Yes.
And you know, it's okay if it doesn't emulsify. You just shake it before you use it each time. That's the other thing about having it in a container like this.
So you don't need to be going out buying salad dressing all over.
Absolutely
No,
not.
no,
Not
it's
at
so
all.
expensive when you
it
consider what it
is.
costs to make this. This is pennies, and salad dressing is not.
So I haven't
Right.
seasoned this at all. I'm going to give it a little hint of salt
Grab
and
a couple of plates.
and a little twist of some black
Now I'm
pepper.
hungry.
There's one right there. If you would grab for me, Laura, just right in the big bowl for the salad. There you go.
We're going to make a salad, and
Make
then
a
we're going to
salad.
plate up some of these veggies.
And
up
Nate,
some
why
of
don't we
those
show
veggies.
them how to finish
Here
those veggies? Toss them with a little olive oil
Sure.
and some salt, and we'll throw them in a
good.
skillet and put
That's
it
still hot.
those
still
over
hot.
there.
Okay, that's
Okay.
important to have that on
Now
there.
these are going to cook, and when you cook them like rice.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 parts water, 1 part
It's
grain.
actually a 3-to-1 on this one.
3 to 1.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. We went through almost a quart of olive oil. That's good.
There we go. So here's some of our roasted vegetables, and we're going to put this guy.
The winter
This is the
hardy
winter
one.
hardy one, exactly. Stir it back up again.
You are going to make a fabulous salad on that.
I am going to make a fabulous
So
salad.
you just put a little bit in. There really is no amount that you should or shouldn't put in. Something's beeping. Oh, wow. Okay, we'll just do that over here.
System fail.
Exactly. And then, can I have a tong, sweetheart?
Sure.
Tongs.
Or anything to
Let's talk about how you guys met.
We met at the farmer's market.
Can we tell that story?
Yep.
You met at the, but yeah, but I mean.
I was selling her lettuce and herbs for
Yes.
her business for years.
Years?
Yep, years.
that long?
It took years.
4 years.
4 years?
So she would
Oh my
come and
goodness.
she would give me smiles, and I would give her smiles and a little extra
Yes.
kale or something. And finally, after a little while, the magic just happened.
Somebody asked
Yeah,
somebody
asked somebody out.
Who was
and
that?
I think I invited her to a dinner at Fig
Oh.
at the Fairmont Hotel.
Right, right.
And
Right next to the
it was a
market.
Wiser dinner, Wiser Farms highlighted dinner, and that was really where it all started.
Look at that.
I'm going to take
Big dinner.
a little
Local
bit
farmers market
of
You need
this.
to
to.
local restaurant.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little bit of this
that's
lovely.
beautiful.
Okay, so there we go.
Still warm. Oh my
Still
goodness.
warm.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
that stands alone. I would just plate those
Yeah, that's great.
on their own.
Let's
Yep,
just
let's
put
get a
that
plate
on
and put 'em on.
plate. Get ready to eat it.
And I'm going to put a
And the
little
thing
bit
about
of
this is you can put this in the fridge again and it'll be ready to go. And you can mix
Yes.
it. You
Yeah.
can toss this, once they're cold, toss them into a salad.
Oh.
You can,
On
fry
a green
it.
salad, right?
On a green salad, yeah.
these
Okay.
gorgeous
And,
wheat berries.
Oh, it's so good.
So here's the salad. Here's the roasted vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dig in just a second.
Very good.
I thought I had everything under control. Then, one day, something happened. I didn't know how to stop it. I didn't know there was help. Until someone told me.
Providing access to justice, the Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles can help with domestic violence issues, eviction defense, government benefits, immigration, and other civil legal issues.
Even if a signal indicates it's safe to walk, it's never safe unless drivers see you. Last year, 113 pedestrians were injured in Santa Monica. You don't have to go to extremes to get a driver's attention. It just takes a little eye contact. Take the right steps to be safe. Watch the road.
So here are the dishes covered in pesto, the beautiful roasted vegetables, the little pesto addition to your salad dressing.
With the whole wheat and some
Let's try.
golden raisins and pecans. So let's give this a try.
And these Maggie's Farm,
Maggie's Farm
beautiful.
Green. This is the Charger mix, if anybody
The
wants
Charger mix, meaning it's,
It's,
wild and hairy.
to. Well, yeah, it's frisee, butterhead lettuce, and parsley. Oh, really good.
And you know what else is great? Light dressing. You don't have to be swimming in it. It just,
And you just taste the herbs a little bit at the end.
I taste that. There's
And the grain adds protein.
Yeah,
It's really, this is a very healthy, good thing.
And the texture of the grain is really, really lovely.
Yeah, and all of this was made within
Oh, that grain is good.
200 miles of Santa Monica.
And then here are these lovely mixed
Oh, that's
vegetables that
gorgeous.
were tossed with the pesto consisting of the more woody herbs, the sage, the rosemary, the thyme, and the oregano.
Yep.
With walnuts. So let's give this a try.
Sort of like a hearty
I have a little
winter.
baby turnip on my fork, which are delicious and
I'm going for this carrot.
underloved.
And you leave the tails
delicious.
on the carrots, which is just so nice.
You know, those little tails get nice and crunchy.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're made out of the same thing the rest of the carrots made out
This
of.
is delicious, and this would be great over the grain or in a salad, or
that on top of that.
fry up a couple of, an egg in the morning and have it over these vegetables, or
If you're sick of that, you can put it in a stock pot and
Puree it and make a soup.
It makes a
You could
fantastic
literally
soup,
turn
yeah.
that into a soup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
so many of these things can be carried out into lots of other dishes.
And it's worth mentioning all of this stuff. I mean, this is probably a $3 dish. This is probably a, I don't know, $5 dish because
And
of
you
the nuts.
can really, really go with this.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is so
great.
good.
I
yeah.
mean, the beauty of all of these ingredients is clear.
And within 50 feet of your booth at the market, too. You never even have to walk that
You don't
far.
have to walk that far, exactly.
Well, we are finished with their dish. We've done a little tasting, and I want to thank you both so much for coming here and
our
sharing
pleasure.
your talent, your passion,
you.
your recipe, your budding romance with us here at the studio today. And these are recipes that anybody can make at home using ingredients from the farmers market. They're there every week, and we will have all the recipes up on our website, on Farmers Market website. You can get all these recipes. Get a link to Nate's Instagram from Maggie's Farm, Kenter Canyon.
Yep, see what's going on at the farm.
Everything we buy at the farmers market 100% supports California family farms and
Absolutely.
keeps the farmers market viable and literally brings you the best ingredients on earth.
Yeah, it's a foodie mecca there, especially on Wednesdays. It's amazing.
So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Cooking with the Farmers Market.